You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, King Johnson.
Maria Menounos and Bing.com present live from the Kari Feinstein Oscar Style Lounge at the world-famous Mondrian Hotel on Sunset Blvd in Los Angeles, California. And streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV's Movie Edition. Tonight's AFTERBUZZ movie is Hugo. We'll break down everything from the making of Hugo to behind the scenes and everything in between. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite movie. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Hugo.
Well, hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us for another AFTERBUZZ TV podcast. We're excited to be coming to you live from the Kari Feinstein Oscar-style lounge gift suites here at the Mondrian Hotel in Sunset Blvd in Hollywood, California.
Beautiful, Hollywood, California.
That's right. It's the weekend before the 2012 Academy Awards, and over the next few days, we'll be podcasting about movies. And as people be coming by, hopefully we'll get some stars, we'll get some editors, some producers, anybody that will come in here, we'll have them come down, we'll talk about movies, we'll get their thoughts, their reactions to things. And until then, I'm your host, John Comerford. I'm joined on the panel by Tamara Berg. Hey. Say hi to everybody. Hi. Bethany Jamer. Hello. And Mario, say hi to everybody.
Hello,
say
John.
Hi.
Mario Hernandez.
That's right. So today we'll be talking about Hugo, Martin Scorsese film, of course. Huge, 11 Oscar nominations. The
most nominations.
The most nominations this year of any film this year, and warranted. Initial thoughts, and then we'll talk about the movie. Anybody? Initial thoughts.
Gorgeous, sort of a beautiful, sweeping look at kind of a small story that has amazing history and layers and levels to it. I absolutely loved it.
Okay.
I love any type of film with a magical element to it because it pushes our technology forward and our shots forward. In the beginning opening of the movie with that sweeping shot, it thrills me.
Got you right in.
I think anytime America's greatest living director is about to come out with a film, and when he treads new ground, 3D, a children's fantasy, no Leonardo DiCaprio, I think it's worth getting excited for.
All right. Okay. All right. For those of you, well, I'll tell you in a second. But for those of you who don't know or who've been living under a rock, Hugo's the story of a lonely orphan who's living behind the walls of a Paris railway station in 1930s, and he's left to fend for himself, scrounge for food. He's got to maintain all the clocks, and along the way, he gets caught by a bitter old man stealing gears because he wants to fix an automaton. Befriends the granddaughter. They go out on some mystery and some adventure. Adventure, which is the thing. So that's the story. But before it became a movie, we want to talk about how that became a movie. So Tamara, take us into how that came to be.
Well, again, in case people are living under rocks, maybe don't know, Hugo was first conceived as a book called The Invention of Hugo Cabret. Is that the name of the book?
Invention of Hugo Cabret.
By Brian Selznick. It's a young adult graphic novel.
Yeah, it's like 576 pages or something
massive.
like that. And half of it are illustrations, but it's huge.
And so gorgeous. Just an incredibly beautiful book. I spoke to a woman who is a middle school librarian, and she just mentioned that it was a huge hit with kids. Really a big hit with kids. So it came out in 2003. Or no, it wasn't 2003. Sorry, 2007. But Brian Selznick talks about how he saw the film A Trip to the Moon. That was a Georges Méliès film, and he wanted to write a story about a kid who met Méliès but didn't know what the plot would be.
Yeah.
And excuse me. And then he learned about automatons. Found a book called Edison's Eve by Gabby Wood, and that tied it all together for him, and that sort of gave him the in into the story.
And he actually went to a museum and saw one of those automatons, one of those working automatons.
Automatons are real. These are actual...
This wasn't made for the movie. They were actually made mostly by clockmakers to show how adept they were, their proficiency. And I don't know when they were started. Does anybody have that? It's like 90s, 1800s?
Late 1800s.
Yeah.
Méliès actually owned a few of them.
Right.
So that part, basically the last part of the movie actually happened.
It chronicles his life. Yeah.
Exactly. And his automatons ended up in museums.
In museums, clearly, yeah.
That had actually eventually been thrown away. So I think that was kind of the link.
That's a tragedy of that, too.
Story.
Yeah. So then Scorsese was given the book about 4 years ago, he says. I sat down and read it completely straight through, and I was had an immediate connection to the boy. Now, Martin Scorsese grew up rather sickly. He had asthma as a child, and so he often talks about how that state of his childhood growing up in...
Because he was stuck in his family's apartment, looking out the window, down at everybody else playing, watching the world go by.
Not being able to participate. Right. And so he became, in his particular way, a storyteller and a filmmaker, because that was the view that he had out the window.
Which is how we find Hugo staring out the clock, looking at the
literally
world.
In the first shot. Right.
Literally seeing the parallel.
So Martin Scorsese also somebody said to him, is it possible that you could make a film that your child could watch?
Yeah. I think it was his wife. I think his wife said that. Why don't you make a movie that our daughter could see?
Right, because he's known for his, his early movies were very gritty and violent.
Yeah, exactly.
Gratuitous.
So he shared the book with his daughter, and she absolutely
confirmed
his belief in the magical quality of the film. And he says, in reading books to my daughter, we re-experience the work. So it's like rediscovering the work of art again, but through the eyes of a child. And I think that's incredibly beautiful. And it really is the film. It really is the view of wonder and magic and splendor.
And a lot of it really seen through a child's eyes. I mean, literally looking through things.
As Hugo does.
One other link as well, like in the movie, Scorsese went to the movies with his father.
That's right.
So there's that link with Jude Law. Brian Selznick,
the author
for
of the
anybody
book.
who catches the last name, is his great-grandfather's cousin was David O. Selznick, who's the very famous producer a producer early on who did Gone with the Wind and King Kong.
I'm sorry, what
early movies you might
is that a
have.
book? Is that a movie?
Gone with the Wind was a book.
Okay.
But who made some of the greatest films actually here in LA in Culver City, actually right near where I live.
Yeah.
Look at that, there you go.
So,
I love that.
So a lot of movie pedigree.
He saw his name up there, and he's like, clearly mine should be there because it's already up there.
That's it.
That makes sense. That's it. I get it.
Already kind of a cinematic, and like you said, the graphic novel already, which served as a blueprint for a lot of the designers.
Right.
It's
sometimes actually
storyboarded. Actual shots from the book.
Shots.
Yeah.
So so that's how it came into being a movie. So let's talk about now about how the cast came into being.
I just want to say real quick,
please, go
what
ahead.
a beautiful gift to get from your father.
Oh yeah, a movie.
Definitely.
I'll make you a movie.
Honey, we read this together. I'll make you a movie.
Yeah.
It will stand the test of time and is just a tribute to our bond.
It's either that or you can have an iPhone.
It's just such a beautiful and thoughtful expression. I really love that. As the cast was coming together, I want to talk about Asha for a second. Asha Butterfield, the little boy. He said it was fairly quick and harmless. He did 2 auditions in London and then flew to LA to meet Marty. He tested with 2 girls. And that was it for him. I
think it was the eyes.
It wasn't those eyes.
Honestly, I think it was the color of the eyes, because he used that color of his eyes to help shape the palette for the rest of the movie.
Absolutely.
And I mean, he was so striking looking too.
Yeah.
So
Well, Chloe is she looks like a young woman. She looks like she has a 40-year-old soul inside of an 11-year-old body.
And tell the secret about her.
What's the secret about her?
She's American.
Oh, yes, that is a big secret.
I did not know.
In one of Asha's interviews, he says, and the accent didn't bother me at all. Like her accent. Like it didn't even, because she picked up a British accent easy.
She got me. I honestly did not know that.
Yeah, I didn't either until I read it recently.
She's amazing. She's going to be, in my opinion, she's going to be the next Kirsten Dunst or Anna Paquin. She already has shown that range. She played the vampire in the American version of Let the Right One In, called Let Me In. So she played the lead in that. She was in a movie Kick-Ass with Nick Cage. So she's already shown. I predict that she's going to be a major star.
Well, and she's got such a beautiful, ethereal kind of look that can be put into a period piece like this, into a modern piece. I think she really is fascinating and incredible, and I agree with you.
I love that. What I found is that the audition process for Marty, and I think people feel this with his other films, it's not grueling. Like, I know when Michael Pitt was talking about Boardwalk Empire, he's like, I don't know, I went to his hotel and he said, try it angrier, and I did. And
Michael
then he was
Pitt
like,
is
try
in
it angrier.
Hugo, by the way.
Is he?
He has a cameo in
Yeah.
Hugo.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
He plays the projectionist in the train Lumiere
Oh,
brothers.
nice.
No kidding.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
it's
great.
so wonderful. But
There's a couple of cameos, but go ahead.
Yeah.
But it's not like one of those what you hear like I had to do it 8 times or they
Right.
couldn't
And
find
then there was
it.
the screen test, and then
so it was fairly easy or simple.
well, and I
in
think
that
that
sense.
speaks to Martin Scorsese being a decisive director,
Yeah,
really knowing
confident
what
too
he's
that no matter what they give me, I'll make it work.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was so curious because everybody always says how much they love him in interviews, but I feel like they cut and I don't get to hear the rest of it. And as I was reading on, they were saying he's just so immensely collaborative. Like Sacha Baron Cohen, for example, was like, what if we do this in a tub with a dog? Whereas I think most directors are like, oh, I don't know if that fits into my storyboard, you're ruining my ideas. He was like, sure, let's do it.
But that's where the magic happens. You being, performers, that's when you sort of go a little beyond where your comfort zone is, that's where the really magical moments can happen and that sort of thing.
And he's very nurturing as a director. He gave us a bunch of just films from different time periods to watch, so he could cultivate the character and his just own knowledge of film history. And so there's a lot of nurturing. There's a lot of collaborating. It is not a dictatorial set, so to speak. And so the actors are just overjoyed. There was another instance where Sasha was like, with the leg, maybe the train hits it, and I don't know. Could we try it? Marty was like, sure. And he's like, well, that's going to take a lot of money, and it's going to be like a few days, and you're going to have a train that crashes. And he's like, well, let's try it, And you're like, what? That's amazing. Thank you for like validating my idea, my creativity, and giving it a go. So they all just seem overwhelmed with joy when they speak with him or when they get to work with him, and I get it. It makes sense.
Well, and as typical of most of Scorsese's films, he's assembled an all-star cast.
Yeah.
Of course, Ben Kingsley, Ray Winstone, Christopher Lee, who has made the most films of any living actor. He's made over 270 films.
Yes.
Okay, so that's 3 or 4 a year for his life, and he's an older gentleman.
Yeah.
He goes back to the old Hammer horror films, Count Dracula, things like that. So
I remember reading when I was a child, actually, a story about Christopher Lee, because he was talking about the vampire films, and that he's something like 6'2", and was always being put in coffins in films. And the coffins were built for a 6-foot-tall person, so he was constantly having to shrink himself to fit into
to
the
collapse
perils
himself.
of being a tall actor.
All right.
It is a short business, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Well, especially back then. So now we get to the movie. And this is the first foray into 3D territory. Martin Scorsese. It's also his first foray into, quote, a family movie.
Yes.
A lot of firsts here. And even the cinematographer, Robert Richardson's first foray into 3D. And they were making it up as they were going along. They weren't sure if they were going to shoot in 2D and then transfer to 3D, and then they did all these tests. They found out that, no, the best way they wanted to tell a story was 3D. They didn't want to do it as a gimmick, and this is the thing that I really appreciated. Is that other than 3D movies I've been to, at some point, something always comes flying at you out of the screen. Okay, great. Oh, that's right, I'm in a 3D movie. And they take me out of the movie, and it takes a while to get back in. And this way, they didn't do that. They chose to use it as a narrative tool, a way to tell the story. And specifically speaking to the deep isolation that Hugo lived in. So alone, abandoned. Well, his father dies. He's abandoned by his drunk uncle. He lives in these walls behind people, separate from the world, only looking at them. And so that opening shot was to do many things, but one of it was to show the depth and isolation that Hugo lived in. And I thought they'd used it great. I thought it was a wonderful way, another tool in the arsenal of filmmaking, and using those things to tell a story visually. I thought they were successful in that fact. In fact, James Cameron said it was the best 3D cinematography he's ever seen, and that included Avatar. So anyway, I thought he and somebody else said he's not only is he reinvigorating something that a lot of people said was on its way out, they say he's reinvented it because now he's used it in a way that's not a gimmick. Anybody's thoughts on
Well,
that?
the beautiful shots of the gears and the clocks, and that the shot early on where Hugo is
going down
the chute and into the texture that because I watched it in 3D as well as not 3D before today, and the 3D just gave it so much texture and really made you feel just embedded in his world and getting that sense of what Hugo looks at every day and how his life is. It was really kind of an immersion of.
You were talking about that opening shot.
No, it's almost as if Martin is doing exactly what the film is talking about, which is George Méliès sees the train.
Right.
The first film ever, the train just going towards an audience, and George goes, I can tell a story with this.
Well, it happens twice in the movie to us as audience members. The train now comes out to us.
Yes,
Three times.
exactly.
3 times, including the film.
To 2 they show the actual film, and then the 3rd time they show the train coming on the stage.
And
So
then-
his interpretation of that.
And then Martin so lovely says, well, 3D is no longer a gimmick. I can tell a story with this. And so it's really just a nice little parallel that's happening there.
Well, and from a design aspect, Dante Ferretti, for example, who is nominated for an Oscar along with his wife, who is a set decorator, 2-time Oscar winner. He talks about how because they are now doing this particular film in 3D, that now affects the design of the film, the textures, things that are in the foreground and background, to give that sense of depth, that sense of isolation that you spoke about, the empty spaces. One of my favorite details of the movie, which nobody really talks about, are the little feathers or whatever, the dust that's in the air.
The dust in the air
hangs there like snow while it's inside. And that's.
Did you read about how they created that? What was it?
It's down, goose down,
and then they kind of peppered it with some other thing to give it
and a little bit of the fog, the chemical fog.
Right, it's little details like that.
Yeah, just to create that sense.
To really give you your money's worth.
Exactly. I mean, that's the thing about this movie. I don't know what the final budget is, but it's on the screen. I mean, everything you see is on the screen.
Yes.
I was amazed. And not only do the texture of the dust, but the depth that they had to create in the train station.
Right.
Everything. And the beams of light. They didn't know that when they were in the library, when you first meet Christopher Lee's character.
Which was one of the few shots in Paris. That's a French library.
But they're shooting in 3D and the beams of light. Rather than just shafts of light, they now had mass.
Because of the 3D.
Because of the 3D. So you could actually feel them.
The cinematographer said they had set up lights to create that, but then there were times when the sun actually came through and gave it mass, and he said, the quote was that he said that it looked like pure platinum within 3D, and how beautiful is that?
And that's something coming from Bobby Richardson, who is a longtime cinematographer with Oliver Stone. He did all of Oliver Stone's movies, won an Oscar for JFK. And then also went with Quentin Tarantino in his Kill Bill and Inglourious Bastards.
I mean, I was just, and I saw it in the big theater, 3D, the glasses, the whole thing. And I tell you, in the first second, I don't even remember the glasses after the first 10 seconds. I don't remember them.
Right.
But I do remember that opening shot, as you were talking about. What a great way to bring you into the world and say, okay, we're not going to be in your regular movie. This is a little different here. And then I saw how they made that with the big old truck and the long crane going to. I don't know, and all the compositing they had to do with the CGI. So it had CGI, the practical. I was just seamless how they.
I think this is a movie that's going to be a classic for years to come, and it's also going to be studied as a textbook example of.
Well, they
how
already
to really
are studying.
Yeah,
I mean, they
how
had
to make
people,
3D really pop.
What I thought was fascinating is Richardson talked to Pace, I believe, the gentleman who did the cinematography for Avatar, to use the 3D to learn about it and stuff like that, and then took that. And then went even far, went crazy with it, went even farther. And I thought the interesting thing is, ostensibly it's a story about Méliès and his films, and he was on the cutting edge of technology back then.
Well, that's just it.
And now they're using this cutting technology to tell that story.
That's what Scorsese.
I said it this way. You said it that way.
He's doing. He's
Did you
bridging.
say it? I didn't hear it.
No, it's okay.
Might have been when I was over there talking
You
to
have more
them.
conviction.
of doing the modern and the antique, and this is the bridge, and essentially recreating what it was like to first see cinema.
Right.
And now we are seeing a new form of cinema, while also being reminded that while we go into the future, don't forget about the past. Don't forget about the 70% of silent films
that
have
lost.
deteriorated, that are lost forever. We need to restore them. We need to look back at the people, at the pioneers of cinema, before we move on to all this new technology and new.
And even with all this new technology, a lot of the language that Méliès created is still being used.
Yes.
Today. Even though we've got all the fancy gimmicks and all the wonderful technology and stuff like that. I think that's great. And to be able to wrap it up in a kid's story.
I want to talk about just one more thing about the 3D specifically. Scorsese talked about how, he says, I found 3D to be really interesting because the actors were more upfront emotionally. Their slightest move, their slightest intention is picked up more precisely. So again, where 3D is often used to portray things, he really wanted it to help portray the feelings and the emotion behind the performance with the actors specifically.
The other thing about the 3D is they were having difficulty, they were challenging how to get the color right, because it's different, different from 2D and all that other stuff. And Richardson they did all these tests and things like that. And one of the things they hooked on was the blue and the orange that Méliès did, because he hand painted his.
Yes.
And they saw those, and they wanted to try to speak to that, but they were having a difficult time doing it. They did figure out a way to do it, but the technique they used was one that pioneered by the Lumiere brothers, the guys who actually did the train.
Yes, the very first filmmakers.
So I just, how does that happen? You use that technique that was used over 100 years ago in this movie.
Well, the more things change, the more they stay the same.
Yeah, so I think that was great.
And the sense of wonder from the audience is still the same.
Yeah,
we
it's all
respond
designed
to
to
color
do the same
and
thing.
motion pictures versus art.
It was the blue that you saw in the train station, the uniform, the blue in his eyes, the blue when you go back in time and you're at Méliès' studio, there's a blue cast to it, that kind of thing they were going for, and also the golds and browns that they had in the train station. That was a palette from which they worked from to do that part of it. So I thought I thought it looked beautiful, because that had that sense of patina, the sense of time, 1930s, all that kind of stuff. I thought that was extremely successful. So brought me back into that location. Now going on to the sense of isolation with the 3D, so many shots shot through something that you wonder, how much of Scorsese's childhood was brought to bear for that. I'm just curious about that. I wonder if he was even really conscious of it, or he was just speaking to Hugo's story. I don't know. Any thoughts?
That's the life is art, art is life.
You can't really immerse yourself in something as huge as making a film without inserting some of your own personal history, I think.
And first and foremost, as our greatest American living director, as our greatest American film preservationist, greatest historian, a walking encyclopedia of film.
Yeah.
He is first and foremost a film fan.
Oh yeah.
So there's that idea. We've had directors like Alfred Hitchcock in Rear Window, like Michael Powell in Peeping Tom, where the director is commenting on the role of the voyeur, of the audience, and what we see. And so he's kind of put himself in the audience's shoes and says, what is interesting to me? How can I make this visually sumptuous? I mean, I would almost, be presumptuous enough to say that he's making movies that he likes, that he would want to go see, that he would want, that would make his imagination and his senses come alive. And it's very obvious, because even when you're not crazy about a Scorsese film, they're fascinating.
Yeah.
They're fun to watch. They have great performances. They're the standard by which I feel American movies are being judged.
And just the techniques he employs to tell the story. I mean, just that right there. Just using the gears, the behind the scenes, looking out the grates and those kinds of things, and just seeing those poor little kid's eyes looking through the face of the clock, and you just go, you're just the poor kid.
Right.
You just can't help but get an emotional thing about that. For me, anyway, that's what worked for me.
I'm fascinated by the meaning of time in this film. What do you guys think about it? I mean, I'm just a child nurturing time. I mean, if he's not there in that building, the whole Gare de Lyon is going to stop.
Right.
And that is like.
I went to this with it, but speaking a little bit to that, which is if he doesn't continue to wind those clocks, the thing stops. Because to me, that showed his essential being. He had to be there, which speaks to his whole thing about he was so worried about his place in the world. You know, he's abandoned. You know, where do I fit in? The gears that we see, Martin Scorsese, the big old gears, they dissolve into the street scene and the cars going by, and you see, and he tells the story about how everything in a machine has a place, has a meaning, has a purpose.
Thank you.
And by metaphor, we can see that everything in a city does, and in him, he has a purpose too, but he doesn't know what it is yet.
Yeah.
And he's hoping by figuring out this automaton thing, he'll find some answers, why his dad died, why he's alone, where's his place in the world. And I think that's what he's speaking to with the time. And if I don't do this, time stands still. And if I can fix this person out here, maybe I can fix myself. And I think that's what that all speaks to me about.
Makes me sad.
Oh, look, we have a guest coming in. Hey, well, please introduce yourself.
Well, I am Kari Kallenbach. I'm with Solpata Designs. We're a sterling silver jewelry company, and our jewelry is handcrafted. And we just introduced a charms collection, and so we brought it, and we're debuting it actually here.
Wow, look at that.
At the lounge. So I brought our new charm catalog so that I can pass it along. You guys can take a look at it. And I even built a charm necklace for Maria. So
wonderful.
I'd love to show it to you. Of course, long necklaces are really very popular right now. And you guys can pass it around, but we've got an M for Maria.
Hey, look at that.
And then we have her birthstone. She was born in June. Yes. We have her birthstone. And then we also have a little charm that has love. And so she loves Solpata. We love her. And so we thought that was
And by Maria, you mean Maria Menounos?
Who's
our president, creator, along with Kevin Undergaro.
Yours is a very popular booth over there. Everyone seems to stop
Everyone's
and love.
getting glammed up. We've had everyone from Jesse Mitchell has come by and with his fiance and picked out. He picked out a men's bracelet that I brought.
Look at that, very nice.
Now, who designs these?
Our jewelry is designed by our two co-founders, Bonnie Kelly and Teresa Walsh. They started as two stay-at-home moms, and they always have had a love for jewelry and a knack for style, and now it's sold throughout the United States, Canada, and the United Kingdom.
Okay, wow. These are very unique pieces. I mean, the love really shows the care.
Yes, it's all handcrafted, and it comes with a lifetime guarantee. So,
thank you so much for visiting us. I appreciate
And we're
it.
neighbors, so we
Well, and on behalf of Maria Menounos, I want to thank you very much. This is a terrific thing to put together. I'm glad you stopped by.
Yes, beautiful, beautiful
Can we
things. I
find
really
you
love
online?
Solpata. It's great.
Please remind everybody again the name of your company and your name as well.
It's Solpata Designs. You can find us online at solpada.com. It's SILPADA. And there's something for everyone at Solpata, so check us out.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for
very much.
joining us.
So that's right. So from time to time, we'll have some people stop by. So let's see. There we go. Make sure she gets that. So we were talking about how he was trying to find his place in the world, and using the metaphor as everything in a machine has a part, a reason.
Well, what I was going to say,
no extra parts.
No extra
what I was
parts.
going to say is that as any parent or teacher can tell you, one of the quickest ways to calm a child down is to give them something to do, to give them a sense of purpose. And when we're kids, we want them. We want something to do.
The structure.
Structure and something to do, a task.
Yes.
And one example of that is Chloe Moretz as Isabella, when she finds out that we are on the hunt to find out what the message is from the automaton. It energizes her, and she becomes this vivacious force in the movie that kind of propels it. We're going on an adventure.
Exactly, there's something to do.
So you see right there that the kids want something to do. They want to have a purpose. They want to feel like they're a part of this huge world that's around them that they don't quite understand yet.
Yeah, and for me, it was so touching that this child, so alone, so desperate, wanting a place in the world, and trying to fix a mechanical automaton for answers was just tragic, and it seemed futile. And then to counterpart that with the older gentleman who appears to be just a toy maker. We don't know at the time who he is and what he made. But his story really got me, the sense all his work, all those 500 films gone, nobody remembers him. He ends up in this train station selling toys of all things.
Time has not been kind to him.
Time has not been kind to him. Thank you, very nicely put. So, and here's another horrible metaphor, not horrible. Somehow,
heartbreaking.
Hugo winds his way into the guy's heart.
Hey-o.
I'm sorry, but I couldn't resist it. But I mean, it worked for me. That worked for me. I thought Ben Kingsley was masterful in restraint and how he just said things with a look, and I just felt he was just as isolated as Hugo. He put himself in his own
Ben Kingsley and Ray Winstone are in possibly one of the greatest British gangster movies of all time.
Oh, yeah.
A movie called Sexy Beast.
Sexy Beast.
So if you ever, if
go
you
from
have
that to this.
Well, yeah. So if you ever have in your mind, Ben Kingsley, he played Gandhi. Watch Sexy Beast, and you will see the full range of Sir Ben Kingsley.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's on set. He was actually in character the whole time. And Sacha Baron Cohen just decided to follow his lead, and he's like, well, if Sir Ben's doing it, I guess I should too. And I think that really adds to the relationship with Asha, because you feel that tension. It's really palatable. Do you not? When they're, I mean, he didn't butter up to the kid and get very close to him immediately.
Yeah,
he really kept his distance during the shooting.
Again, more
of it.
death, more isolation. Just didn't want to have anything to do with it.
Yeah.
Didn't want anything to do with life, let alone this dumb kid.
Which, as a child on an emotional level, you're probably like, why is he so mean to me?
Yes.
Why does he not like me? But then later on, you're like, oh, but the performance is amazing. And when we really do connect, we're connecting for the first time on screen. So it does make some sense.
Sacha Baron Cohen has been in the news the past day for
talk about that.
Well, the rumor was that he had been banned, that his tickets actually got rescinded for the Oscars. There was a fear that he might show up in character as the Dictator, which is his movie that's coming out this summer. According to the Academy, however, they're just still waiting word from Sacha Baron Cohen that he will not be doing that, because they want to maintain the dignity of the Oscars. The same Oscars that allowed the South Park guys to dress up as J-Lo and put Ben Stiller in Avatar makeup a few years ago.
But that was a dignified outfit.
I disagree with all of that. I'm so sorry. I mean, it's up to the press if they want to cover it or not, but he should have the freedom to show up as he pleases.
He should, but then everybody and their mother's going to come as their next thing so they can promote it.
Exactly.
And I don't think that's what they want the
Is
Oscars
the
to
Academy's
be.
thinking.
So, yeah.
Sorry, Academy.
So, I'm with the Academy on this one. I don't want to see his next thing. I want to stay with what we're doing now in this thing. When it comes time for that, I'll happily join.
You're telling me you would not like to see his butt cheeks fall in Sir Ben Kingsley's face?
I've seen it.
A la Eminem at the Video Music
When
Awards.
haven't we seen his...
I missed that.
That's
okay.
true.
Yeah, what haven't we seen of Sacha Baron Cohen?
Yeah, exactly.
No, he's an artist. What are you going to do? Artists are crazy. That's why we love them so much.
So, yeah, and, and a painting has a frame. So there are borders. So, and we've picked one.
You just blew my mind, John.
There's a field. No, I'll stop.
So I just wanted to talk more about the visual. What's that?
Did we talk about sound?
Oh, let's talk sound.
We haven't talked really,
all
have
about
we?
the use of sound.
Oh, the sound. Yeah, well, there's a lot of good stuff with sound, but we're going to come back
Oh,
to
hey,
that.
we got somebody coming in. Who's joining us? This is terrific. Thank you. Come on in. Sit down. Please tell us.
You want to introduce yourself to our viewers?
Hey guys, I'm Sasha Petersa. I'm from Pretty Little Liars.
Ah,
We got to
Pretty
tell you,
And-
the podcast that we do for your show is just one of the hottest, one of the most downloaded. I mean, we have a lot of fans that that follow the show.
That's an honor. Thank you.
So, what have you? Tell us what you've been. They've been ushering you around.
Oh, this has been great. They're so sweet here.
Is this your first one? Is this your first gifting suite?
Not for the Oscars. I've been to a few, but I think this is my favorite so far.
Okay.
No, it's been really nice, and I love Oscar season. It's been fun.
Any predictions? Any?
I don't know. This year,
inside track
they're all
bets?
kind of so different.
Right.
So I'm excited to see. I mean, I've loved the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and Hugo was great. I think it was different than what any of us expected it to be.
Right, a lot of surprises.
Yeah. I thought it was done really well, and it was a really nice take on that time and that era. So I think you did a great job. Hugo, I'm sorry, Hugo. Yeah.
Was one of the ones that she liked, in addition to Girl with Dragon Tattoo.
Girl with Dragon Tattoo, Iron Lady. I mean, they were all good. Moneyball too. I thought Brad Pitt did a good job in that, and Jonah Hill and everything.
And so what's going on with Pretty Little Liars?
Well, we are on hiatus right now, but we go back for our third season in April, so we're really excited about that.
That's wonderful.
And then the season finale is coming up, and the countdown to A, the reveal of A. Everyone's excited about that.
I'm not even going to bother asking what happens and what, because I know they got you guys.
Our lips are always
on
sealed,
lockdown.
and we feel so bad with interviews because we can't really say much. But it's very intense, and it's going to be very surprising, and there's a lot that goes on in the season finale. It's kind of a bittersweet scenario.
How is it working with this group now? You guys are going to enter your third season? Have you guys really coalesced? Are you?
Yeah, you know what? We've got such a great cast. It's so nice. We're so blessed with people that really gel well together, and our crew is so great. And the creators of the show, Marlene and Oliver, it's just so nice to see people that all have the same goal and just kind of want to keep these characters and bring them to life and kind of continue the memory of Allison and this craziness that's happening with A.
So we were in the middle of talking about Hugo, and you saw it, right? So we want to bring you back into that discussion.
And into what?
Into Hugo.
Into Hugo, yes.
So you said you enjoyed it. Did you see it in 3D with the glasses, or did you see
I did see it in 3D. In fact,
okay.
I took one of my friend's little brothers to see it for his birthday,
and
he really enjoyed it. He was 11.
Okay.
And again,
have you read the book?
He didn't read the book. He didn't read the book, but he adored it as well. And I think what's nice about it is that everyone can enjoy it. All ages can enjoy it. Yes. And I just think the filmmaking that was really cool. The visual was really nice, and I really liked what he did with it. Yeah.
So we were just about to talk about the sound quality of it, just because we've gone through that part of it, and we were wondering how he used sound. Did the music or anything help? Like
with the story?
With the story clearly, but with helping an 11-year-old understand the story. Do you think he got it?
Definitely. I think with the visual and the sound, it gelled well, and like I said, that for all ages, but especially for kids, because I think it brings it to life. I think kids are very visual and responsive to those sort of things, and so I think he did well to apply that to all ages, and for kids, especially with the books and everything like that. I think it really portrayed nicely.
Yeah, I think it hit on it because it was for all ages. You got the elderly guy, you got the young kids, everything. I thought it did hit on all pistons like that.
I have to say, one of my favorite sound cues in the movie is Sasha's leg. Because he's like, and it's like,
it was great.
Everything's happening and functioning, and then you hear, and everybody's just like, whoa, what happened?
I love that it was so very quirky that as well. It brought such character to it. Yeah.
And I thought it was a great tie-in to fixing the automaton, the whole mechanical aspect of it, and then even though he's the antagonist, he's still part of the system and has a connection in some way to Hugo. Because if Hugo wanted to, he could probably fix that little squeak.
It's almost a little steampunky.
Does he? They do at
the very end.
At the very end, you get the new lens.
Steampunk version of the...
Yeah, he's no longer a broken man.
That's true. Nobody is.
Yeah, I thought that was a very special tie-in, too, and I think that kind of brings it to life with children, too. I think they saw that, which is a very deep connection between relating it to those certain things and with the family scenario. So I think they did a really nice play on that, especially because it was playful and quirky, but at the same time it was deep and serious, and I think it portrayed well. Yeah,
it hits all the right emotions. At different times.
For me, it did. Yes, absolutely. So, and what are you off to now? Did you already talk about what you're up to now?
Yeah, we're going to be working on our third season for Pretty Little Liars soon.
Season finale coming up.
Yeah.
Cliffhanger.
What are you doing for your hiatus? Anything exciting, or are you just taking it easy?
Kind of both.
Yeah.
Hopefully I have a few things coming up that I can't really share yet, but
a
few things coming up. But at the same time, I went to Hawaii for a week, which was nice. Just relaxed a little bit. Yeah.
That's nice.
Didn't really want to leave.
Relax and decompress before you get back to work.
It's great though because it was so nice. I love Hawaii, but I'm really eager to get back to work. I love my job. So.
Well, good luck with whatever it is, the secret things. Hopefully that'll come through, and we look forward to seeing the season finale and the third season.
Thank you so much.
I
love AFTERBUZZ. It's great talking to you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
So,
the music up top at Howard Shore, who's a two-time Academy Award winner. He does a lot of big movies. So he did The Lord of the Rings, which is a touring show. Performs, they perform it at the Hollywood Bowl and in different places. He did the music for that. Won an Oscar for Fellowship of the Ring and The Return of the King. But Howard Shore's been doing music for 20 plus years. He did Philadelphia. He's actually Canadian, so he's done all of David Cronenberg's horror movies and even the latest one, Dangerous Method. And the music, he used French instruments. He used the accordion. He used an instrument that's known as the French theremin.
Great.
And
you love it? You don't? I do too. I do too. I don't know. I guess I'm a geek, but I've always liked it.
Yeah, no, it's the music really brings it to life. And then the closing credits song, Un Coeur Volant, by a French artist named Zaz, is just a beautiful kind of literally, I don't know, in my case, literally had me kind of lifted me out of the theater as I kind of dancing as I went out into the night.
I have a question. The musician actors that were there, did they end up playing on any of the soundtrack, or are they just, or is that just their?
I didn't come across anything that indicated. Howard Shore had his own musicians, and the sound guys had their own musicians that added in. About 84 of them, in fact. Interesting little fact for people that are in the know. One of the actors that was in the movie. You talk about cameos and little kind of inside jokes. In the cafe scene, as the dog is running around, we see Salvador Dali and James Joyce having coffee together. We see Django Reinhardt, who's the famous gypsy guitarist, jazz guitarist, playing in the cafe, and then later in the final scene in the Méliès drawing room party scene. So, but no, I think the actors were in the movie, and then Howard Shore had his army of musicians putting it all together later on.
One of my favorite comedic bits in this is in the opening chase scene, and you see that giant cake, and you're like, oh no, they're gonna smash the cake! And of course they don't. They smash the base.
Yes.
They smash the base.
It's been done before. We're not doing it again.
Like,
Right?
we'll smash something else.
And as for the sound, I think sound is going to be one of those things in film that if you notice the sound, you haven't done your job. You want your sound mixing, and your sound editing to blend in. And a lot of times every year people say, well, what's the difference between sound mixing and sound editing? Sound editing is essentially getting the sounds to match what's on the track. Sound mixing is literally figuring out what the different levels are. So we have music playing in the background. We obviously don't want the music to be louder than the dialogue and every little sound effect that's in the background. So those are the two differences. Two very important aspects of filmmaking, obviously.
And they once you put the sound in, it completely changes the movie.
Well, when I was younger, I'm sorry to interrupt. When I was younger, my dad taught me a trick. If I was ever watching a horror film and I was getting scared, cover up my ears.
So you wouldn't hear.
And then I would just watch, and it would be fine, and it wouldn't be scary. And I've done that to this day.
Yeah. Wow. I do that in life.
I do that on dates sometimes. If I'm on a date, I'm like, ooh, better.
If you ever have trouble listening to a movie or a TV show on a plane, it's because it's not mixed for the plane.
Exactly.
Because you're like, why are these levels? Do you ever find yourself being like, why are these levels terrible?
Or someone's sound system
it's meant for a theater.
Yeah, or someone's sound system who doesn't have the right speakers or the right speakers set up. Interesting fact: Tom Fleischman, who is the son of the very famous D.D. Allen, film editor of Bonnie and Clyde and many other classic films. He's worked with Scorsese many times. He's done many of Scorsese's films, in addition to his documentaries and his stuff on cable. This was the first time that he mixed a movie in 7.1. So if for any audiophiles out there, and you have it in your system at home, there's basically 7 speakers. So you have your center, and then 2 along the side and 2 in the back. This was the first time he did this. Normally he does it in 5.1. So what he was able to do, as they said, there are no bullets flying, but they were able to, if there was a running sequence, or if dishes are being crashed in the back, you can then put the sound to that. The train is coming at you. Yeah. You can put them in specific speakers to really give you that immersive sound, that surround sound, which has actually been around for a couple of decades.
Even the clock ticking and things like that.
Right.
That little shots there.
That makes me want to go out and purchase a really good sound system. I don't know about you.
That's right.
You just sold me on it.
I know.
Like, what have I been listening to?
Now, we got to talk visual effects because there are so many in this. I think they said half the movie, I think, is a visual effect.
Right.
And to my eye, in the theater, the first time I saw it, I really... It's not that I didn't know. I didn't try to figure it out. I didn't care which was what. Some movies, if I'm not engaged in it, like, that's a CGI, that's CGI. Yeah. But this time I for some reason, it just went right by. Seamless in the sense that I didn't want to try to figure it out, couldn't figure it out. It wasn't until I went back and saw it the second time that I was wondering, only because I was going to talk about it. Sure. But not because I, as an audience member, I was wanting to know. But did you guys feel that they were seamless? Did you enjoy them? What was your feeling about it? Did you even notice them?
For me, when there's a childhood magical element to a film, when that genre is established, I immediately ignore anything that might stand out. But if it's a film that's set in naturalism or realism, say it's like Two Farmers Out West, and then they throw in visual things like fake rain or fake snow, I'm like, I then it really jars me. But because of the I guess it's not really ethical framework, but the framework that they established right in that opening shot. It was so dramatic that anything else after that, I accepted that given reality.
Well, Rob Legato and his team, who did the visual effects.
Let's name them: Josh Williams, Ben Grossman, Alex Henning, those guys.
Right,
they're all nominated.
And they've worked on some of the best things. If you go and look at IMDb, I mean, they've worked on Sin City, they've worked on Titanic. Legato won the Oscar for Titanic.
Exactly.
Apollo 13, and
was nominated as well, but didn't win that one.
Right, and the thing is, Martin Scorsese is not known for special effects movies. Right. So I once again, this speaks to his strength as a director to make that leap. You know, 30 years ago, has it been that long? He made Mean Streets, which was a couple of guys in a room, in a bar, no special effects, you know, except for maybe the squibs for when people get shot. And now, to make that rather simple, I'm sure he doesnn't say it's simple, but to make that transition with such ease, to present what is one of the greatest fantasy films of all time.
3D. I mean, it would be one thing if you just did, okay, I'm just going to add this one element, which I've never done before.
Robbie Richardson's first digital movie as well, because he shot in digital.
Yeah.
It's to be able to bring all of these elements together and once again do the old and familiar, the antique, and bring it into the modern world using new techniques is just amazing. And I'm like you. I went in and researched and went back and saw what kind of shots were shot up against green screen. And you'd be surprised, so many of them were. And when I was in the movie theater, I could have sworn that it's one big room. That the camera's just following the kids through the room.
They built a big studio in England, London, outside of London, and I just thought it was all done there. And then you saw how it was done. You go, wow! It's got to be kidding.
You know, one of the just odd things that I read that speaks to that about using green screens is that the dog trainer. Who, the dog that was the dogs that was running around were running around. She was actually green screened out, so she was standing on the set a lot of times directing the dogs.
That's awesome.
In a green outfit, in her little green suit, so that she could direct the dogs and be standing right there, so that it would be easy to direct them, and then they just key her out. Isn't that hysterical?
That's terrific.
That's hilarious.
I know, crazy. So again, one of those great things about the versatility of using CGI.
So much of it is green screen. And for me, it didn't matter a bit. And I think part of it was because what you said is that once I got that it was this, I mean, it is fanciful in a sense, and there's a magical quality to it and all that other stuff. But once I got put in the world, I didn't even care.
You buy in. Once you buy in and once you accept it. And I think you mentioned this before the podcast, one of the worst things that can happen is when the seams show. I hate to call this out, for example, but in JFK, for example, or sorry, not JFK, excuse me, J. Edgar, Armie Hammer, who was excellent in the film, you could see the edge of his makeup, of his old man makeup, and you could almost kind of see, so literally you see the seams in that case. If you can see the seams in filmmaking, you're really not doing your job, because that takes you out of the film. Now you're looking, now you're aware that you're
suspension of disbelief goes out the window.
Now I'm going to have to look for that.
Sorry to ruin it for you.
Are we going up?
I think we have
all right.
We have another
vendor.
Yes,
coming on. Come on in.
This is a Beauty Mint.
Thank you.
Want to introduce yourself to our listeners and our viewers?
Yes, I'm Nerida Joy from Beauty Mint.
Wonderful.
What's
Beauty
Mint? Please
tell us.
What's Beauty Mint? Tell us.
About Beauty Mint.
Well, Beauty Mint is a line that Jessica Simpson and I created. We launched it 3.5 months ago.
Wow.
And brand new.
Wonderful.
Yes, it's an e-commerce site, so it's a specialized skincare line that you can really pinpoint areas of concern. You do go online and you answer 18 questions, which are the questions that I ask my clients. I've been in the skincare world for almost 34 years. I've done a lot of hands-on facials in that time. And so this is a line that was developed for people that have specific areas of concerns, not just skincare in general, but to really be able to pinpoint areas, whether it be puffy eyes or ducks, and dark circles or larger pores and wrinkles and all those fun things.
Now tell us about the name Beauty Mint. Why mint?
Well, there are a number of mints that the company started. Their first mint with Jewel Mint, Kate Bosworth, Cher Coulter, Style Mint, the Olsen twins, and we were the third launch, Beauty Mint. So they're just on the mint buzz, I think. There's going to be more mints to come, so
very cool.
It's just
very cool. So you cater to sort of all ages. Is it men as well as women?
Absolutely, men as well as women, yes.
Wow, you've got something for everybody then.
It's a great line because it's you know, my thing, I work with chemists, and it's something where to be able to pinpoint areas of concern and really be able to work on that. So the combination of ingredients are really important when you're developing something, that you can really sort of get to areas of concern and work on them and just make them better. So, I mean, that's my job, and that's what I do with my clients, and they come in and say, make me look better, you know, whether it be for the red carpet or, you know, so it's nice to be able to really...
It really is important to kind of have that interaction, and that's what it sounds like this questionnaire that they do.
The questionnaire is really important because then it's you talking about areas that you're concerned about with your skin, and we all have different areas, you know, and so yes, it's very important. The questionnaires, it's what I ask my clients when they come in. It's the questions that I ask my clients.
What can we do for John?
Yeah, I don't think you got enough in your arsenal to help.
John, you have.
I need help.
You know, you've got really good skin. Your levels are hydrated. I mean, no, he's got good skin.
We can't get him to stop hydrating.
Oh, it's a good thing.
Well, excellent. And you're having fun today, getting the word out.
It's been great. A lot of
line,
great people.
So you're really introducing.
It's a brand new line that's really specialized in pinpointing areas of concern and just having some stuff that works. I mean, you want to be able to see results when you work with products.
Well,
and
we want to thank you so much for coming by and introducing yourself. Please remind everybody of you and your line, please.
Nerida Joy, and our skincare line is Beauty Mint, and it's a line I launched with Jessica Simpson.
And where can they find it?
It is on beautymint.com. It's online.
Beautymint.com. Please check it out.
Thank you
again.
Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you so much.
All righty.
So,
let's talk.
Final thoughts about Hugo. I think it's got, you know, it's probably the only serious contender to the artist juggernaut.
For Best Picture.
For Best Picture.
Others might pick it its heels, but it's the only one that's come close.
You know, and that seems to be their trend right now. Is kind of Hollywood, which it often does. It's kind of honoring its past. So, but I think it's going to come out very strongly in a lot of the technical awards, because this really is a work of art.
I gotta say, I mean, Richardson's work. I mean, as much as somebody might like the artist, and I did, I loved it. I just am amazed at what they were able to do in a using 3D. They've never used it before, and to do what they've done with that. I think as a cinematographer, I would think he's got to get the nod, but you never know. So that's just my thought.
And go see it, people, because it hasn't been a widely viewed movie, and we're really hoping that some Oscar wins will get people to see
in that sense.
Really, it hasn't.
We are not wrapping up at the moment.
No. That's something else. We'll keep going.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the box office, actually, because you and I were talking online about it. So we don't actually know the budget for this film.
Well, they're being cheeky about it.
They are being a little cheeky.
Some say 150 million, some say 175 million.
Is that something that they're supposed to release? Is that
well, they usually do.
Okay.
And sometimes they don't.
And oftentimes it's an arbitrary number.
That's true,
I have learned and heard. But so domestic total as of February 21st is 67,500,000. Call it.
Just criminal, I think.
It does deserve more of a viewership. Yes. I don't know what to say about
why
that.
do you think? I mean, why do you think it hasn't
Marketing,
really done better?
I don't know.
Internationally? Has it been released internationally?
I don't know.
I don't think it has yet.
Okay, so there's hope.
Because it only just came out in November.
I think it'll make its money.
First and foremost, there's no huge star. There's no, Shutter Island was actually one of Scorsese's strongest, biggest box office hits. Actually, it might have been his biggest box office hit, even more so than The Departed.
That had DiCaprio.
So I think the lack of box office star definitely hurts you. I think it might be perceived as a kids film.
Right.
So if you don't have kids, or if you're not into children's fantasies, you might not go.
I mean, don't you agree? It's really not just it's a children's story, but there's so much for adults, especially if you're interested in film, like we were talking about in film history. So much of that children just couldn't possibly understand.
Do you think that at all detracts? Meaning, the fact that he talks about George Méliès, who most people don't know, and they don't have the same affinity towards that filmmaker or filmmakers in general. Do you think that detracts from the general public's viewing of it and wanting to see it?
I would say so. I mean, I think most people aren't familiar with it. Most people don't care to. I know when I saw The Artist, I took my girlfriend to go see it, and she was dreading.
Oh, really?
She was not anticipating seeing it. She had never seen a silent film before, and most people haven't.
Yeah.
So if you're not, I think if you're not a cinephile, or it's not something that you would go out of your way to seek. So I think. On some level, he might lose some people that might not be interested in that particular aspect of history or of art history.
But I think that actually sort of validates my point in that there's something for everyone in this film. There's
I don't think they've got that message out there.
I agree.
Clearly,
I agree.
I think most people, it's a 3D kids movie. I'll drop the kids off, but I won't go.
No, I was so happy to have seen it twice, and I'm actually looking forward to seeing it again. And maybe I'll go give them some more money so that the box office will.
So they'll make another one.
Save Hugo.
Yes.
Well, and it's the most nominated film. Depending on how the awards go this weekend, that could really affect the box office
because
as well,
the King's Speech had only made 60-something million last year, and then after its Best Picture win, it catapulted to 150. So. You know,
so I'm sure that's what they're
possible,
hoping for.
and that's why these Oscar campaigns really are very important in Hollywood.
And that's why there's now 10 pictures that are nominated for Best Picture.
9 this year, the first time in history.
I beg your pardon, 9, yeah. So as opposed to the
I'm waiting for there to be a comedy category.
Yeah.
I really want it. I do. I really would love that. That would just thrill me.
Or for the Academy to lighten up and start nominating some comedy films.
Only the dramas get the heft.
Yeah.
They're the ones they're only the important films.
Right.
Well, and again, we talked about this in our last broadcast, but we talked about the academies, the makeup of the Academy.
Oh, yeah, the makeup of the Academy.
Old dudes, it's old white dudes who are
average age 64.
And we love you very much.
Over 75% are men,
male, and over 90% are white. So
I don't know how that plays in, but
well, and they're talking. This big article came out in the LA Times this weekend, and so it's very much in people's mind, the makeup and the demographics of the Academy voters, and a lot of talk is going out about diversifying.
It should be good for Scorsese. Then he's 75. He's white.
Well,
and a man.
Yes, and it's people that obviously have followed his career since its inception. I think what's one of the more startling statistics is that this is Scorsese's 7th nomination, and in my mind, it should be many more than that.
Oh yeah.
There was a period in the late 90s.
Because he's what?
I'm sorry.
Because he's what?
Because he's
who is he to you? What do you think?
The greatest living American director.
I mean, no doubt. I wasn't sure how you felt. I just wanted to give you another opportunity to clarify.
Sure. Absolutely. No. Our greatest living film historian. I mean, the greatest ambassador to film.
I think the success of this, or at least the critical success of this, opens him up to do a whole bunch of different kinds of movies. Not that he was wanting to or not. I mean, he did The Aviator, which is obviously a departure from Goodfellas and all the other things that he's done.
Well, he's got 2 in the works now. He's working on Silence, which is a novel about Portuguese missionaries in Japan, I believe.
Interesting.
And then he's also working on a Frank Sinatra biopic.
Oh, biopic, yes, that's right.
Going back to the world of Goodfellas, is he?
That's right. And actually, one thing that we didn't mention is the excellent production team, Graham King, who, along with Scorsese, Scorsese, this is his first nomination as a producer.
Right.
He's never been nominated before. He's never produced his own films, but he's the co-producer with Graham King, and they were the team that brought us The Departed, and worked with a lot of Johnny Depp's movies. They have Dark Shadows coming out this summer, and are in the works with John Logan, who wrote this script. John Logan is working for Graham King to put together the Jersey Boys movie.
Yes.
And John Logan's from New Jersey. That's right.
We should also talk. We also mentioned at least Dante Ferretti, and we already did. We talked about him and his wife and the sets. What we didn't talk about is Thelma Schoonmaker.
Schoonmaker, yeah. Long time collaborator.
14 collaborations with Marty.
50 years.
Yeah, 7 nominations, 3 Oscars. And I just think that to edit Goodfellas, and then, she must be thrilled. Oh, finally, no blood.
Yeah.
How fun would that be?
They met at NYU Film School, and Scorsese eventually introduced her to Michael Powell, and they got married for the last 6 years of Michael Powell's life.
Yeah.
She's just been absolutely essential. So, a lot of good stuff. I think a lot of good things are going to be happening for Hugo on Oscar night.
Yeah, well, for me, it's certainly warranted all their nominations. I'm sure they'll win.
Sandy Powell with costumes. Every nomination very well deserved.
We'd have to name them all. There's so many awards, we don't have time to do all of that. But anyway, last thoughts.
Just go see it.
Go see it. Enjoy it.
It's rich. It's dazzling, and it's a beautiful story.
And also check out the Méliès films as well.
Yes.
They're very short. Trip to the Moon is only 14 minutes. Really beautiful. They really hold up well.
YouTube, a lot of them.
And on behalf of our panel here, that is our AfterBuzz podcast.
This was a lot of fun.
Hugo.
Yes.
Thank you,
Drawn
guys.
from here, from the Kari Feinstein Oscar-style gift suites. Thank you very much. We'll talk to you next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.